Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to the Good to Great Manager Circle, a platform for managers on leadership and management development. Here at the Circle, we promote global best practice in leadership and management. We like to take a global perspective on leadership, distill it, and adapt it locally. A key focus for us at the Circle is sound corporate leadership development, especially for African leaders globally. One of the ways we achieve this is through our knowledge sharing platform, the Colloquium. Today, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker, who will be speaking on the topic, the importance of coaching for leadership and talent development. But first, here's a quick synopsis on our topic. It is known that leaders are at the core of organizations. However, shocking leadership development statistics show that 71% of companies do not feel that their current leaders are able to carry the organization into the future. In order to combat these statistics, organizations are implementing a coaching program to increase leader effectiveness. It is required of leaders to not only transfer technical expertise to their subordinates, but also to groom them with the soft skills required in leading organizations. It thus goes without saying that a leader should be able to coach others. But how then do you coach others without having benefited from the experience yourself? Some of the key benefits of leadership coaching are empowerment, because coaching empowers leaders to do exceptional work. It also uncovers hidden strengths and weaknesses within the leader. New insight. Leaders gain new perspectives on everyday responsibilities from their coach. Free thinking. Coaching reduces narrow-minded thinking in leaders, and it encourages the leader to open their thought patterns and consider other points of view by asking questions. And lastly, enhanced performance. It targets the leader's problem areas and allows the leader to learn and implement new leadership techniques tailored to the leader's strengths, as well as the organizations they are leading. These are but a few of the benefits of coaching. For a more comprehensive picture, please welcome our speaker this evening, RAMATEU Monyokololo. He's a driven management professional with over 30 years experience in both operational and strategic leadership in the public and private sector. He's a professional certified coach accredited by the International Coaching Federation. He is an MBA graduate and holds a postgraduate certificate in enhanced coaching practice. He holds a myriad of other qualifications, including but not limited to professional certificates in business risk management, executive development programs, advanced management program, effective directorship program, governance, etc. He's currently the executive director of RERA and Associates. He has previously held various leadership positions, including being the executive chairperson of Litlapacon, CEO of Communications Worker Investment Company, general manager at South African National Civic Association, and various other roles. He serves as a non-executive director on several boards, including but not limited to Rand Water Provident Fund, Innovation Hub Management Company, Africa Beyond Fourth Industrial Revolution, and King Cetshwayo District Municipality. He serves as an independent trustee of 3 Liberty Lifestyle Funds. He is also a member of several committees of the respective boards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome RAMATEU Monyokololo.
Good evening, Giselle. Thank you for the invitation. As you're talking about this person, I was wondering whether it was myself that you're referring to. So I
made you sound good to yourself.
I was a bit worried that it's not me, but I'm sitting here with my wife and my nephew and his wife. So they seem to be saying that what you are saying about me is true. Thank you for the invitation. I think I have a bit of an agenda that I will deal with quickly. I won't deal with the introduction because you've already dealt with it. I'll delve a bit around the definition of coaching, and also talk about coaching, the difference between coaching and other modalities or interpersonal development interventions. We'll also talk about the importance of coaching and the coaching process, the leadership coaching, benefits of coaching, and also talk about the importance of coaching for leadership development and benefits of leadership development coaching, and then return on investment, and then conclusion. That's my small agenda. As managers and leaders at all levels, we need to appreciate the fact that people support what they help create instead of imposing ideas and such changes on people. They must be part of that process. Fundamentally, that's what coaching, depicts, or that's the value add that coaching brings to us. And also, I want to quote Lao Tzu, who says that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears. In many instances, as people, we are afraid to take specific decisions because we are busy with other things. And at a particular point in time in our lives, we come to a realization that we should have taken those decisions, and we move ahead with those decisions. It's because the teacher has appeared and left us, because we now realize that we now found a light. And when we define, the International Coaching Federation defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. That's how the ICF defines coaching. And quite often, we regard coaching, we take coaching concept like just in the sport area, where a coach is somebody that is knowledgeable and imparts that knowledge to other people. But I just want to give a difference between coaching and other interventions or other modalities. Let's start with counseling. A counselor regards the person who comes to consult as a patient. Effectively, it means that the person who comes and consults a patient is a sick person who requires assistance from a professional who is a therapist. When you talk about mentoring, people go to mentors because mentors are people who are experts or subject matter experts, or are experts in operations, are experts in different areas of their lives. Therefore, mentors and mentoring, mentors are people who are knowledgeable, who imparts knowledge on people who are not knowledgeable. Consultants, which is most of us are, do the same. Consultants take information from companies because they assume that those that are running businesses lack something, and they inform them because of the expertise they have. Training is the same. You don't go to school, or you don't go to a training and you want to tell your lecturer or your instructor, if you're in technical training, how to wire how to wire a circuit. You go there empty-headed, they tell you what to do. So you are the recipient of information from a trainer. Now here's a fundamental difference with coaching. Coaching is primarily attention on strengthening the client's wisdom. You must underline client, because in coaching, we don't refer to a person as a patient. The assumption is that that person is a capable person who knows their story, who understands and appreciates a number of things. It's the thought process, and it directs action towards the future based on the client's self-identified agenda. So the agenda of the coaching session is determined by the client. The coach therefore provides a supportive a non-judgmental environment that is great, and he creates that environment in which to inquire, to challenge, to stimulate, and provide critical thinking and new ways of being to the coachee. The clients, from the base of the coaching session, the clients are capable human beings. So that's basically the difference between coaching and other modalities. What is the process that we follow as coaches? And I'm raising this issue so that we have an appreciation, a full appreciation of coaching. The process that we follow as coaches, because we are professional coaches, we have an ethical standards that we follow as professional coaches. There are certain things that we cannot do, and there are certain things that we cannot say. As a coach, we cannot tell a coachee. I find therefore very difficult for me now to speak because I'm not used to talking to people and telling them about the subject matter. I'm used to asking questions that will guide people to move in a particular direction and bring an aha moment to them. In coaching, we establish a coaching agreement. In that agreement will include our ethics, and that agreement will include what is it that you want to achieve as a coachee for the program and for the session. In the process, you cannot engage and disclose your information to somebody that you don't trust. To that extent, as a coach, we develop trust and intimacy. When I'm not talking about intimacy, I'm not talking about love intimacy. I'm talking about intimacy of people relating from a trust position. And as a coach, I cannot talk to you as a coach and play with my nails, well, I don't have nails, or play with a cell phone. I have to focus and listen to you attentively. And that we also call attentive listening or active listening. Because in my listening process, I have to show interest in what you are saying. I also ask you very powerful and very uncomfortable questions so that it enables you, that process enables you to think and to think strategically, objectively, and start questioning and have a paradigm shift in your life. So I have to ask those questions. I have to communicate with you directly, not by the way. I have to help you create awareness on certain things. To that extent, when you say to me, for instance, that my life is like a volcano, I will ask you a question. How does it feel? What does a volcano mean for you? I don't want a dictionary meaning because I want to engage you to have this volcano and be able to explain it and tell me, where do you feel this volcano in your life? That's the awareness that we create. Beyond that, we design actions. You design the action, we provide oversight on that action, and you plan and set your own goals. And ours is to manage the process, the progress, and reflect on the progress for you. We hold you accountable for every action that you decide to take. And we do so objectively without fear or favor. You may hate me for raising issues that you promised to do, but I have to hold you accountable. And if you feel that you are not serious enough about your personal development as a coachee, I prefer to leave and you may find another coach because it reflects on me as a professional coach if I coach a person who's not serious about their own personal development. Now, what is then leadership coaching? You have said certain issues, Oslizel. I'll just raise some of them again. Leadership coaching is that part of coaching or that part of an intervention, personal development intervention that helps a person to enhance their abilities and skills to lead and to help their own organizations to meet their operational objectives. It also it boosts the person's ability to perform as a leader and to achieve their vision. It helps build values and soft skills, such as emotional intelligence of a leader as part of their personal development. It provides a person a better understanding of things like creating a vision, setting realistic goals, and other activities. Leadership coaching is built around the various coaching strategies, one-on-one interactions or group and or team coaching. So we can coach an individual, we can coach a team, we can coach a group of people. The key is to have the person find sustainable behavioral change. Therefore, coaching is not just something that you do for the sake of doing. You do it because you want to develop yourself and you want to change. It transforms the person's life for the better in both private and public. It is therefore, in most instances, very difficult to say a person is an executive coach, is a life coach.
We seem to be having some technical difficulties again. Our speaker is still on the platform.
Can you hear me now?
Lefty, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. So we're saying that what coaching then does is to improve and widen the skill set of a person that is being coached. It provides perspective, new perspectives and direction. It enhances self-awareness. It provides learning of new skills and gaining deeper knowledge. It enables a leader to learn new skills and gaining deeper knowledge of their work. It enhances mentoring and skills. It enhances the ability to control and assess both your own and other people's emotions. So you begin to deal with issues at 3 levels as a person, which is a way of being. You start dealing with issues from the mind, which is the head, deal with issues from the emotions, which is your heart, and you deal with issues from the body. Where do you feel? When you say to me, when a subordinate says, you know, I don't feel well, I feel pain, they must be able to point where the pain is. So it makes you think as a person holistically, not only think from your head. It also touch on issues of feelings. I know if there are men here, we hardly express our feelings. We rather die from within. Therefore, the importance of coaching for leadership is that it also enhances awareness of talent within your staff. Quite often or not, when leadership, which links back to the point I raised, that people support what they help create. Quite often as leaders, as managers, as executives, we impose things on people and people resist. And we want to introduce change management at a very late stage of implementing new strategies or implementing new ideas. And this is mainly because we only engage people at a later stage. We don't engage people at the level of formulation and the thought process of those changes or those ideas. And therefore we find resistance from employees. So if we adopt the view that says people support what they help create as leaders, we'll then have a full appreciation of the impact of coaching and the impact of consultation with people, and we could then deal with resistance to change, because there's no resistance to change when people are the ones that bring that change, are the people that are the ones that also conceptualize that change and implement the change. Therefore, the benefits of leadership development coaching you may summarize them and deal with them as saying they bring about in a business where the business is not doing that well. Leadership coaching ensures that there's sustainability and growth in the organization. It also ensures that the business efficiency and effectiveness and competitiveness is improved. They ensure that clients are satisfied with the work that you do. David, can you still hear me? Switch on, David, switch on there. Switch on the car. Can you still hear me?
Yes, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
We
can.
can hear you. It's just the noise in your background that's a bit, yeah.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Coaching also for the organization, it brings about satisfied clients. It brings about increased productivity, improved team effectiveness, improved people and people management. For leaders, quite often, we hardly listen to what our employees are saying. But coaching enables us as executives to start listening and to start listening attentively and to ask questions to our employees and enable them to think through issues and take them through changes that are supposed to be done in the organization. So coaching makes us, it humbles us as leaders. It makes us, it almost, when you go to theater, if you have an ego problem, you go to theater, you do an operation called egoectomy. I'm not sure whether there's anything like that, but coaching helps us to remove and to tame our ego. It's no more about I as a leader. It's about us working as a team. And that's how it helps to improve our work relationship with our people. Coaching also, when you coach as a leader, because you respect time and you also don't procrastinate, you extend that coaching expertise and knowledge to your employees or your subordinates. And that helps improve, time management, effectiveness, and efficiency in the organization. And it also helps to ensure that work performance is improved, and it also improve balance of work and life situation. If as a coach, you are the type of a person, as an executive, you work 24/7, you don't have time for family, you don't have time, even your own employees, you don't have time for them. Coaching helps you to plan and plan accordingly. There are people who cannot, for instance, delegate responsibilities to their subordinates. And as a result, they get so exhausted because they want to do everything else themselves. Coaching enables you to start trusting yourself, trust yourself enough that you can provide and that you have trained your people enough that you can delegate to people and start trusting them, and you can provide management. It helps you to do time management. For instance, many people, most of us are managers who spend most of the time being a fire brigade. You extinguish fires left, right, and center because you can't delegate, because you can't plan. So what coaching does as an intervention, it helps you to plan your day. It helps you to plan your week, your month, your year, so that you are able to have time for yourself, have time for your family, have time for work. And when you are at work, you're effective because you're an all-rounded person. And we use a number of tools to ensure that. One of the tools that we use is what you call a wheel of life. A wheel of life it's a wheel that if you have a bicycle or a bike, it has spokes. Each spoke can represent a part of your life. It can be your spiritual life, It can be your work life, your family life, friends. It can be your social life, and so on and so forth. So you give yourself points from 0 to 10, where the wheel of life or the tire seem to have punched, or maybe 0 is 5, is 2. You can then focus on those areas to improve on those areas as a tool. That's what you do, and you can extend that to your employees. In terms of your subordinates, and when you do that, you are not the only person who has family time that finds balance in family, work, social life, and so on. You extend the same to employees. So that's the value of coaching that it can have on a leader. Coaching helps you to be emotionally stable. It gives you a sense of emotional intelligence. Because when you are able to delegate responsibilities, when you have enough family time and you have a balance between family, work, and life, you have less anxiety. Therefore, you achieve some level of emotional intelligence. But if you don't, you arrive home, your child is happy for you, you move him, you clap him, you give him or her a hot clap, because you are not you have your own anxieties from work. Or the same, you go to work, your wife has complained or your kids have complained that you don't spend time with them, and you have work pressures this side. You come to work, your subordinates come to you, and you treat them like, non-human beings, because you have your own pressures. But if you know how to plan your things well, coaching helps you to achieve emotional stability. Well, in terms of return on investment on coaching, there was a research done by the International Coaching Federation. They say coaching increased productivity. And they say it improves work performance by 70%. It improves business management effectiveness by 61%. It improves time management by 57%. It improves team effectiveness, because in most instances at work, we work as teams and as groups, unless if you're a specialist or technologist, where most of the time you spend time working alone in your room, in a closed room, and so on. But it also brings some positiveness to people. It 80%, it improves self-confidence by about 80%, improves the relationship that you have with your employees, with your executives, with your colleagues, with people at home, with your friends, the rest of the family. It improves that by 73%. It also improves your communication skills, because when I coach you, or when you get a coach and you tell a coach that, whenever I talk to my wife, or whenever I talk to my employees, they don't understand what I'm saying, or they react in a particular way. And the question that we'll ask you is, what do you really say to them? How best can you say that to them? And you say this and how else can you say that to them? So we actually tap into your thinking process to find ways of improving your communication with those people. And one of the tasks will be go and communicate with them, because coaching is a doing thing. It's not something that you theorize and after that you just attend it for the sake of doing it. You go and you give yourself tasks, you give yourself timelines. The next time we meet, I ask you, you said you're going to change the way you speak to your kids, to your wife, and to your colleagues. How did it happen? You have to report from each and every one of them. If you say, I've never seen this before, they even say I speak differently now. What has happened to me? They are very happy the way I trust them. You say, how else can you do it better? And you decide, not us, you decide how you do it. So coaching assists you to improve your communication skills if your communication skill is a challenge. I've spoken a lot about coaching helping us as executives to improve our life and work balance. In conclusion, I want to go back to saying what I started with and say people support what they help create. And throughout my talk, you'll notice that in coaching, the coach does not tell. The coach asks questions, decisive questions. The only time we can help, we can tell, the one and only time, is if we give you tools that will help you to cope, coping skills. We'll refer you, for instance, I refer to a wheel of life. I can refer you to going to do an Enneagram so that you know who exactly you are. Those are the only time that we can, if you ask, it's not something that I'll just give you, something that if you ask for coping skills in between the sessions, I can refer certain interventions that you can start looking at. These are all the, some of them are in the internet. Some of them will tell you that if you ever, you give up quickly on certain things, I will tell you about the 4 quadrants of learning. That you start with quadrant number 1, where you are unconscious and incompetent. And that is a normal process that we follow when we learn anything. We are incompetent and unconscious of. If you tell me to cook, I haven't cooked for many years. I will start by burning food because I'm unconscious and incompetent. With time, I become conscious, but I still remain incompetent. There's a second quadrant. On the third quadrant, I'm cautious and I'm now competent. I can now drive a car and consciously tell myself that I can turn this. I have to indicate that my intention to turn left or right. And I have to think about it because I'm conscious of it. I have to turn. But then I reach the 4th stage of competence, which is I become unconscious and incompetent. I become unconscious but competent, meaning I can drive now a car without even thinking about when I get into the car, I just put on a safety belt without even thinking about it. So that's the 4th state of the 4th quadrant of learning. So these are the kind of tools that you give people only when they need them or when you use your own expertise to know that they need this skill. So in conclusion, I was saying that as coaches, if you want to be coached, we don't chase people around because we believe that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the person needs coaching, they will come to you. When they're really ready and truly ready, the teacher disappears. It's because they've already benefited from the benefit of coaching. Coaching has an impact on your life as a person if you take it serious, as an intervention, as a self-development tool. Coaching brings about a paradigm shift in a person. You start looking at things different. You change your perspective to things. You may say, my husband doesn't love me. And I will ask you a question. What does that mean for you? What does not loving you mean? And you explain. And I said, but before, how do you reconcile saying your husband does not love you when the husband bought you a car last week? How do you reconcile the two? So it helps a person to change and start thinking and looking at things differently. It's also say coaching is not just a concept. Coaching is something that has to be translated into action for it to be beneficial. And coaching in this respect also, it impacts and improves on business. And the impact of coaching can be quantified as I've indicated from the research that was done by the International Coach Federation. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, RAMATEU. We really appreciate that. I think we are all a little bit wiser for having listened to you this evening. Thank you for all the knowledge that you've shared with us about coaching. And I think a lot of us, even if we had doubts before the session, I'm sure we all now realize the value there is in coaching for leaders and managers. The time now is, on my side, 8:48, and it gives us a couple of minutes for questions and answers. So if there's anyone who would like to ask a question to the speaker, please raise your hand and I'll give you the opportunity to ask a question to the speaker, or else you can put it in the chat box and we will read it out to the speaker. There was one question in the chat already. The question came from Paula Maleka, and the question is, how does coaching become effective in a group setup? And I can relate with this because I had the same question, because in my mind, I'm thinking going for coaching, you have to make yourself vulnerable. And how do you do that in a group setup? So very interesting question indeed. So if you could respond to that question for us, please, sir.
Thank you for the question, Paula. There's coaching for teams, and there are also questions for a group. A question for teams, coaching for teams and coaching for a group. A team, for instance, has specific objectives. A team is basically a project-based group of people. And also, therefore, a group is a group that could probably be a department. So what we do, use different models of coaching a group. And in that model, we will coach a group jointly and also coach them individually and feed back to the team, or they feed back to the team, because we can't feed back to the team. But what coaching does in that respect, it helps a team to work together and achieve their own objectives as a team. I just want to see the question exactly what it said, so that having given the background, I must just check the question again. Yes, the effectiveness of coaching in a team is realized when members of a team start working in a particular way. A coach's responsibility in that respect is to create a safe environment. Let's say we are in a team and Paula is the most outspoken person, and we have Lizelle, who's very quiet and does not say anything in a meeting or in a coaching session. The responsibility of the coach on a particular matter is to allow each and every person to express their view. And quite often, the person who's the quietest one is the one that has the best ideas. So the coach then has a responsibility to create a safe and enabling environment for all team members to participate. So the benefit of coaching for the team, therefore, is that it enables everyone or every member of the team to contribute to the goal of the team. And it also enables an individual. It gives an individual self-respect, self-confidence, and the individual then becomes outspoken, unlike before when they kept all their information to themselves. It also benefits other members who are outspoken or who dominate the team to learn to come down and allow other members of the team to make their contribution. There are instances where we say in a coaching session that no answer is wrong. Every team member has to make a contribution. So it also helps those who are dominant to begin to swallow their pride, or let me put it differently. It makes them to appreciate and tolerate other views, which views may be divergent from their own views. So that will be the benefit, in brief, that will be the benefit of coaching for a group. I hope I managed to respond.
I think you have. Paula seems satisfied with the answer also. Are there any other questions? While we wait for other questions, I have one question that I've been thinking about. You keep saying people support what they help create. And then also the first part of the saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Now, my question is, would coaching be useful or impactful when it is identified as an intervention by somebody else? For instance, somebody who's a new manager and seems to struggle or grapple with a few things that he or she may not be aware of even. And somebody more senior then recommends coaching to that person. But if it wasn't that person that indicated that they needed coaching, or if there seems to not be readiness for the intervention, would it be useful? Would it make an impact or have the desired effect?
Yeah. If I understand you well, if I don't, you'll indicate. A new person in an organization as part of change management, because it's the entering into that environment is a new thing altogether for them. So you have to implement some form of change management orientation and so on and so forth. So to that extent, coach and obviously everybody that gets into an organization are a bit anxious. They don't know whether they may know whether they're coming or going from the expertise point of view, but they may not appreciate the culture of the organization. So coaching people as part of, onboarding, it's also a very critical thing in an organization. And it helps people to have a full appreciation of the culture of the organization, the challenges of the organization, the objectives of the organization, and also to help them to be emotionally susceptible to the new environment that they're getting themselves into. I hope it answers you.
It answers my question in part in terms of why it's important for a new manager to have a coach. My question is, if that person themselves did not see, or do not see the necessity for coaching, does it make it a painful experience for them, or?
Yes, we have encountered that as different coaches from time to time, because in other organizations, they use coaching as a punishment. They will tell a person that they are not performing well, therefore, they're going to take through coaching. So that person, when they enter into a coaching environment, they then feel as if it's a punishment. They don't see it as part of self-development. I encountered that myself. But you see, when I spoke about the coaching process, I referred to a contract. A contract is a contract between the coach and the organization and the person that is being coached. That tripartite contract is very important because the organization indicates upfront why the person is coaching, what their expected outcomes. And the person also indicates what their expectations are out of the coaching. And the critical thing in the coaching session, as we build the trust between the coach and the person being coached, is that of confidence. that the information that is shared between the coach and the coachee, that information cannot be shared with the company without the consent of the person that is being coached. So in that way, we build confidence that coaching is not just a punishment. And the person believes that if they open up to you and they raise the challenges, when you submit the report, that report must be a joint report to the organization. The only time that you don't follow that route is when the person threatens or you notice that the person needs counseling, but you also inform them that you think they need psychological attention. Or if a person threatens to harm herself, himself, or somebody else, then you report it to the authorities. Other than that, in most instances, you get people accepting the coaching session in the first or second session because they appreciate the fact that it's not a punishment, it's for their own good, because they are allowed to say, what do they want out of the coaching session? What do they want out of the coaching program? Also based on what the company wants out of the coaching program. So in that way, it negates the negativity that is imposed on that process by maybe what the company might have said to that person that is being seen as a punishment. I hope it makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Clear as daylight. I think we have one more question before we'll have to run because we've run out of time. And the question is from Mikey and it says, is being outspoken a bad trait? I think that's the last question we'll take.
It's not a bad trait at all. I think I was raising it from the perspective that in a group or a team environment, everybody is supposed to be given an opportunity to speak. And we know that there are people who are naturally dominant. It's not a bad thing, but in terms of in a group environment or a team environment, we would also want to enable other people to express their views. Because in a group or team environment, it's not the only people who are outspoken or who are dominant who know all. So the intention really is to allow everybody to express themselves so that the group benefits from the input of all, not the dominant ones only. Therefore, being outspoken is not a problem. However, it has to also take cognizance of the fact that other people have views and they must be given an opportunity to express those views without fear and not be criticized or challenged or judged for their views. Thank you. I hope it makes sense.
Makes sense. One more, just one more before you go, Bra Lefty. Ibrahim, your hand is raised. Please proceed.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. RAMATEU, for that section. It's been a wonderful one. However, my question goes on. Does it really mean coaching is time bound? Because it seems people take up a coaching section when there is deficit in performance or something, or like I said, it seems like a punishment for some people when I ask them to go for a coaching section. So does it mean it ends there? Probably people take coaching because something is wrong somewhere. Because for me, I believe coaching should be a continuous thing, not until I discover a problem somewhere. I can decide to take on a coaching section just to improve oneself, or a life coach to say. So does it mean it's time bound or continuous?
Yeah. If I understand you well, Dr. Ibrahim, the question is whether coaching is an ongoing process or it's an event.
Yes.
And my response will not necessarily should not be seen as subjective because I want clients, but it should be seen as an objective one. Everyone needs coaching. It doesn't matter whether you're the president, the CEO of a company, and coaching is an ongoing process. You are correct to say that coaching is an ongoing process because coaching is not only about dealing with problems. I may have a challenge to take specific decisions, for instance. There may be personal or there may be business decisions. And for me to be able to tap into my my knowledge base. I may need a coach to help me because the coach is going to ask me direct and deep questions about the decisions I want to take until I realize that that decision is the right question. I coached somebody recently who had a job offer, but she was not interested in that job offer. She was interested in another job offer. And I asked her questions. Which of those people have come back to you? What is it that you want out of a job? Tell me what you want. And when she explained what she wanted, she then realized on her own, not me, on her own, she realized that she does not need any of the jobs that have been offered to her.
Interesting outcome there. Ibrahim, you answered?
Yes, actually, he has answered the question.
Okay. All right. Praleti, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. If there are any other burning questions, we will share the details of the speaker in the group. And we will also make sure that he gets your questions and then come back to you. But thank you all for having been here this evening. I hope you all learned as much as I did. Praleti, thank you very much for making time. We know you have a busy schedule, so we appreciate you making time for us this evening, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Auspiza. I'm quite humbled by the invitation. Thank you. And thank you to the attendees and the difficult questions.
You made it sound like a breeze.
Thank you.